casting, Donna, I couldn't find them anywhere.
Oh, well, that's
I'm
fine. I
so
guess we're gonna do
frustrated.
new ones, and then
Okay.
what you can do is compare it to the old ones. Hey, Rudy. Great to have you join. We were waiting for you. I was just about to get started, and then here you are. So that's awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get started. I have a few things that I want to talk to you guys about on my agenda here. I might clip a couple of things that are not important. So there's 5 of us here. We talked about the email that I sent out to you guys, and I even get you guys to do this in your even in the group, like in the inner circle. You want to always be practicing communication that's very clear and that's very concise. So something that I will say often is, if you wanted the person who was listening to you to get one message, you want to focus on like getting everything that you are saying into that package, instead of like, like going dot 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 all over the place. And sometimes our brain thinks like that, so we have to train ourselves to just like pick one and hone in. Okay, everybody good? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing that because that's kind of the culture of the group. And this way we can keep our time together very high impact and very powerful, and like really like zip through stuff, like really get you the most value as possible. I'm okay with what if we need to slow down and it looks like we need to address something, but especially like if we're going through wins, or if we're going through especially challenges, we don't want to like go on and on about challenges, because like you'll notice that the energetics in the group will just go the moment that happens. So you want to be very specific and use like precise language. That way we can actually help you solve a problem. Okay. All right. So Mark had an awesome idea, I thought, this week.
Oh, what did I do?
Yes, you did something. You wrote something, and I thought, you know what? That's a great idea. You mentioned that you have noticed that I use specific languaging with you guys, the warrior model. I speak to you like royalty. I address you as kings and queens because you are. And something that you mentioned, Mark, was like, for you, you like that really resonates for you and you get it. I know it resonates for Jackie too. She gets it, right? But you kind of wrote like, I wonder if everybody in the group understands that and understands why. So I'm just gonna do like a quick little like, I guess like I want to know, does everyone understand why we speak like that? And there is like no shame or any no wrong questions here. So if you're not sure, I can most certainly jump in. Or maybe you want to share what it means to you in a short little sentence.
I'm happy to.
Yeah.
You go to war against yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times what you find is in basic training, you have to push yourself beyond what is the norm.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put yourself into a state of extreme contraction to have growth.
Absolutely.
And so with a lot of the different things that you deal with, like I've talked about with your body, with your spirituality, with your relationships, or most importantly, how those play out, which is business here,
Mm-hmm.
is if those other 3 aren't in alignment, you're not in a good place.
Yeah,
I'd say another
absolutely.
word, but I'm going to say you're not in a good place.
Thank you very much,
Yeah.
Mark. Okay.
See,
So
Mark thinks the swear word. I think screwed.
Yeah. Yeah.
it
There
all
you
means the
go.
same thing in the end anyway, so it's totally fine. We joke about it that like it's totally okay to be colorful, but the reason that we don't share certain language in here is because you are training to be royalty, and we want to be very clear communicators at all times. So we keep the vibe at like this level because that's how you're conducting yourselves. Right? Okay. So not to say that there's judgment around any of it. So yes, that is the reason why what it means to me when I share that with you is that I believe that you were designed in God's image, and you have a divine assignment upon your life. And I honor God in you when I speak to you that way. as royalty, because that is who you're supposed to be. It's also a part of my mandate and my vision, which God has been making even more clearer for me lately, that my job is to resurrect kings. That's my job, to take people who are like feeling like there's no more hope, or like feeling like they'll never ever rule, and have this big dream inside them, and put them where they're supposed to be, like help get them up. So that's why I speak to you that way. And then the warrior language, and for, I'm sure all of you know, is that at the time where kingdoms were more prevalent, because now we have all these democracies, so it's harder to relate it to it. But at that time, the king always went to war. And like that,
Yeah.
it was just a part of the model, right? So that's just part of the dominion, and warring against yourself is key. And we see it in scripture, Romans 7, all of the struggles, so that your flesh doesn't overtake, and you walk as the celestial being, the spiritual being that you are. So that's why I speak to you in that way, to call out that inner man to lead, instead of the flesh and everything else, all the hangups that come with it. Okay, so real quick, who wants to share wins? And if we have time, like, let's do a quick little rotation. Everybody share some wins that you've had. Who's going first?
I'll go first, because this one was kind of crazy. It's not on Monday night, I had like a coach from that is part of like the gym that I work at.
Mm-hmm.
He just came to my mind, but it was in a very vivid like way, where he was like in a void, but there was light shining on him. And then the next day, out of nowhere, we're just in the coach's room, like the break room, and he brings up like faith and how he's struggling with it and all this stuff. And I'm like, so to cut it short, I shared the gospel with him. I shared, was able to in real time point him to different scriptures and different things, because he grew up Christian and Catholic, and then he was looking into like this religion that believes that everybody could get him to God and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I told my wife the next day, like, I've never really thought about this person outside of like my day-to-day interactions, and it was just clear as day. Like, or I was even like, why is this person on my mind? Like, I didn't know it, but then after it kind of came full circle. So that was pretty cool to see.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And it actually ties into what I want to end with today. So that is really, really cool. How to see it already kind of manifesting and happening for you guys. Amazing. Thank you, Rudy. You can clearly see that you're receiving that divine message, right? Like, especially when I want you guys to really expect, I don't want to call them absurd, but almost like out of the norm would be a good way. I want you to expect a lot of out of the norm things in your dreams, in your interactions, being spoken to this way. And we're actually going to end with that today as well. Love it. Anyone else want to share a win?
I can go. The insurance group that I'm part of, the new mentor I have, asked me she's out of town this week. So on Tuesday night, she asked me to do training for some of her friends, because they've been around for a little bit. And I helped train her team on Tuesday evening.
That's great. How did it go?
It was okay. It wasn't too bad. So
yeah. Did you enjoy training?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't perfect, because there were a couple of technical glitches, but on my end and their end. But I worked through it. So
awesome. That takes resilience, especially when you first start and like all the stuff goes wrong. Like it just reminds me of the days when my husband would speak at churches and things like that, and then the PowerPoint, like everything would go nuts. And when you're younger and like you're just like so spazzed trying to figure it out, but now it's like I like even joke about it and draw attention to it and ignore it. So you really grow with experience. Nobody is perfect. That's wonderful. I love it. Okay. Does anyone want to share, or shall we keep going? Maybe we'll do one.
I'll do one.
Yeah, go ahead.
So at the beginning of the week, I just felt really strongly and then I heard God say to me, double down. And in that, for me, it's just really staying on task.
Mhm,
I'm very good at having that time. But
mhm.
as I had explained to Donna when we were on our call last week, I was just being bombarded at every side. Like I could not focus. And so I've even made the decision and the choice. Like if I went to bed at 2:30, I was literally sitting up listening to Donna's voice prints last night at 1 o'clock when my head was doing this. But I made the decision, like, I haven't been on my trading. I don't know if some of you know, but I'm learning to day trade and swing trade. And so I haven't been on for 6 weeks. And basically, it comes down to I made the decision, no matter how much sleep I've got, I'm getting up and I'm getting things done because God was very specific with me. This is a week of launching in the spirit. There's so
Mhm.
much going on. And if we're not paying attention and if we're not listening and doubling down, we're going to miss out. And so
Yes.
this week is
Yes.
very key. Very,
Yes.
very key. And the timing of us doing the dream casting vision couldn't be like Donna wouldn't have known to
Yeah.
look back, but this is just so
It
so
just
key.
fell exactly
Yeah.
where it needs to
Yeah.
fall, and I'm really,
Right.
really excited about that. And then even the things that have happened for me that's been happening in the background in relation to dreams and stuff and things like that. And that's what I'm going to release on you guys today by the end of
Yes.
our workshop today.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Okay?
other thing, Donna, I just wanted to quickly share is we had our community, we have a barbecue Troy puts together, my husband, every year for in our court. And I had one person who well, basically she verbally attacked me. What I was saying, she came at me, she took it very personal. And I just literally, my old self, my Italian temper would have just went, right? I literally picked the chair up and my table, and she kept at me and was coming after me, like
Oh, man.
following me. And I just walked away. And at one point, I said to Troy, the only thing towards the end is I turned around and I said what I had to say. That's all I'm saying. And I said it in a very monotone and walked away. And then she just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. I lost the bit at the end when I turned and I didn't realize. And Troy explained to me socially, when you say whatever to everybody, you're basically saying like F you. And I was like, no, I didn't even know that.
It kind of means
It
like,
was
I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like,
Yeah.
okay, continue.
So I
Yeah.
thought that was a win. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
didn't let it
Holding it
bother me. I
together.
didn't let it get it. I held it together and I was like, whatever, you know what? I'm
Awesome.
just
Yeah,
going on
I'm
about
just
my
going
life.
on. We don't need to. So, and I mean, like, this makes sense with what we were talking about this week in terms of decluttering as well.
Yes.
We want to be very careful about what kinds of situations we're giving our energy to, our attention to, our focus to. Because
Exactly.
the enemy will, you will only be defeated if you get dragged into the water. Again, like, I don't know, crocodile, alligator, one of them, right? But like it can't actually attack you on land. It'll always like jump up and try to grab you and pull you into the water because that's where it's strong. So as long as you remain in that realm, you're gonna have a hard time. But if you transcend that and jump up higher and you have eagle's eye view, like you're not gonna have any of those issues, and it becomes easier and easier and easier for you.
To just walk away.
That's right. Like it's almost like you can see what's happening. You can
Yeah.
understand what's happening for them, and you can literally reach that place where Christ said, you know, like, Father, forgive them for they don't know what they do. Like for the longest time I was like, how does one do that? Like, you know,
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
get to this place of like, but it's really a place of living so much in the heavenly, so much kingdom minded, that you can
Yeah.
see why they're doing what they're doing, and you can see their pain, and you can really just detach. Like you can really just detach from it, right?
Troy said to me from his medical perspective, right?
Mhm.
Sorry, I'll just tell you, I'm gonna say she's batshit crazy. Just stay away from her. He goes, I've dealt with enough of them and seen
Yeah.
in 32 years of my life, right? He
Yeah.
goes, there's no reasoning with her.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm so proud of myself that I did that. I was like, literally, the enemy, when I came inside, he started bombarding me with, you did this, you did this. And I'm like, I didn't do anything. Troy's like, you did nothing wrong. He said, you did the right thing. Got up,
Yeah.
walked away. And I was
Didn't
like, thank
engage.
you, God.
You didn't engage, and that's
I didn't
what's
engage.
important.
So those were my 2 wins.
Okay, excellent. That's wonderful. Okay, so how are our squads coming along? Rudy, I guess you're the spokesperson for your squad since the other 2 aren't here. how is the squad coming along? Are you guys actually connecting? Is what you're doing working for you? Oh, I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
I forgot to put myself
That's okay.
on mute. We are definitely a work in progress. We do check in, but it's very kind of testing the waters still.
Okay.
I know that in a way, these last 2 weeks for me, I have been doing a lot of restructuring. So I haven't put a good effort into the squad itself. So I think since it's only 3 of us or total in there, once we get things going, it will be easier. So I'm just trying to think of a structure or a format, a flow that we can start to engineer to make things more valuable for everybody in there.
So being what I know about all 3 of you, right? Just what I've observed from all 3 of you. I am not surprised, quite frankly. I'm not. But what I
and we're
will
also
say,
guys too, so I think like
yeah. Although there are different
it's like
personalities.
with male bonds, sometimes it's like, hey, you good? Yeah.
Good.
Okay, cool. And I'll talk to you like
That's the worst.
next month or something. But so I think having maybe like I'm trying to think of a mantra or a objective for the month that we could set as a squad can be a way to start to kind of do those things. I just haven't really put the time
Put the
into
thought
thinking.
into it. So ideally, Rudy, what I'm hoping for is that you guys use your squad as a space to sort of dissect what we're already doing in the week.
Okay.
So you don't have to come up with new material. Every day I'm kind of telling you, I'm giving you information. So really, you just want to be able to check in. And what I try to do is, I don't know if you've noticed that, but I try to do one theme for the full week.
Right.
Okay. I do that on purpose because I want the message to really land. Right. And you can see that it's been making a big difference. That's why transformation is happening, because it's almost like we're hammering your brain with the same thing from different angles every day. So really, I just want you to maybe end the week or midweek with like, how are you reflecting on what we've been talking about so far?
Kind of like a review.
Just use it as a review, or like, are you chewing on this? Are you chewing on, like for me, I was listening and like the relationship thing really stuck out to me. So this is something I'm working on. So this is where you guys can almost challenge each other. Another thing that you could do is kind of have a question. I know Mike had given that suggestion about having like a challenge each week. So you can take the material and turn it into, let's say I talked about relationships all week. Okay, so the challenge is, let's declutter our relationships or evaluate all our relationships this week and report to each other.
Right. I like
something
that.
like that. Right. So make it very practical. And so when you listen to it, anything that you want to do, maybe just pop in the group and go, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
Okay. So I don't want you guys, again, like I said it to the others, no one is weighing each other down. No one is like expecting others to pull them around. You're sharing what you're doing. And because you're processing already on a higher level, the others will be inspired to just get their butts together and get in order. You know what I mean? And they will level up.
So I think we have had a semblance of that where I think we messaged, I messaged them about some of the decluttering that I did.
Good. Yeah.
Recently, which was pretty helpful, and
very good.
I think I also shared it in the inner circle chat.
Thank you. Yes.
Which there's a lot more alignment there. So definitely exciting times. I think that structure will definitely help of using it more as a review and a way to go deeper into the lessons for the week. Yeah.
And something that maybe might be helpful too is, as soon as you listen to it and after you process, just bump into that group and just like write down, like use it as an accountability tool. So I listened to this is what I'm working on. And you just pop it in there so that they know what you're working on. So now they can ask you about it. Like you can ask each other about it. So you kind of make it as an accountability tool. That's awesome. Squad 1, are we doing well? Does one person want to give me like a very brief
Go.
overview? Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that we have put on the table a lot of the things that have affected us in our lives, that and how it redirects us into how we play out in our performance. And doing that, we've actually been able to go into a reverse kind of a deeper dive of what do we want.
Okay, which lines up
And
with today, which is good.
yeah, it's like a what do you want? And this is like some of the stuff that we were doing with testing, some of the things about how we feel about ourselves and experiences that we've had.
And
And out of that, it's added into the, the propulsion of the goals. My goals
Awesome.
are
Yeah.
still the same.
I think it was really cool, Donna, on we did our call on Tuesday, we had to change it. And
Mhm.
you know, I use your structure and we always start out with a win in the group. And I had already listened to the voice print and they hadn't got at it yet. So it was really great because what I tend to do, and maybe because I'm a mama, but I tend to hold them accountable with certain things like, you know, the goals in that, and ask them, you know, where they're at, what's happening. And what was really cool out of our call this week is Travis, Mark offered, well, he was on a, you know, doing work to just be there like physically online. Well, Travis did, I suggested doing the personality test for Myers-Briggs.
Mhm.
And so Travis did that, and I was so happy for him. It was like I was beaming. I'm like, yes, because to me, I see these little steps and I see him growing, and it's just really exciting, right? And then, you know, there's a real connection, obviously, you know, the male connection, but I can come from it in a different perspective,
Right.
you know, being female. So I
That's
think
right.
there's a really great balance there.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. We might have
Mhm.
to break up Rudy's group and put in a female there. I don't know. We'll see, guys. Have someone in mind,
Well, I
actually.
mean, here's the thing is that because I have a lack of filter, for better for worse, that I do pull back on, because I do pull back on, but it allowed
Yeah.
even Jackie to share some things that happened to her
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how that plays out. So somebody has to come forward within a group
And that's
and
it. The
fall on their
vulnerability.
sword and
Mhm.
fall on their sword to say, I'm a human being.
Yes.
And then everybody else can feel good
Yes.
about.
There's a
I
real
hear you.
level of vulnerability in our group that's very healthy.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm really happy with what's going on.
So, Rudy, I guess you are the appointed one to fall on your sword since you're here.
Oh man. Okay. I got
All
it.
right. But Mark is absolutely right. If you guys notice when I do the voice prints, I usually share stories from my life, don't I? Right? I do it on
Yes.
purpose because
Yeah.
I'm very aware that vulnerability basically will help you also dig deeper. If you can, if it resonates for you, and it's something that we used to do in the therapeutic world as well. You know, you're usually not supposed to be sharing things, but we had safe and effective sharing. So you share with the perspective that you know they need this in order to share as well, to break the barrier. And I think you were just talking about that. So this is an awesome strategy. Like as soon as you kind of go a little deeper, you'll find everyone else will. And actually, Mike and Jordan are both very deep thinkers. So you won't have any problems over there, I don't think, with your mining at all. And it will be very good. Yeah, they're excellent. You guys are all go-getters. You're all very busy. My concern was, will you guys actually fall into a structure? So you might actually need like a check-in date, like everyone checks in by Wednesday or everyone checks in by Thursday. Those are like some kind of helpful things. That's one of the reasons why the other group actually has a check-in date. Doesn't have to be a video call and a whole lot of time, but it does need to be like some kind of consistency, so that way it isn't like all over the place and then we forget it, right? We need to develop like healthy habits. Okay, excellent, guys. We don't have a whole lot of time for challenges, but is there anything that you want to ask that you need help for? It could be in your business, could be relationships, could be like just a question in terms of emotional with your processing. I can take note of them, and if it's something we can cover in future workshops or in the the daily lessons, then I can do that.
For me, it is the clarity to make the right choices, to know what to do to get this documentary done. I have had more clarity over the past 48 hours
Awesome.
about this documentary, and it has been a lot of conversations and telling other people what to do. There's something that I always say, everything that I give to you, I also give back to myself. That's something that I've kind of coined for myself. And it's like every time I'm telling somebody something, I'm listening to myself and telling myself the same thing, saying, what did you just say?
Beautiful.
It's like the parent saying, don't smoke. I better smoke.
Yes.
You know?
Very good. I mean, you're holding
So,
yourself to the same standards, right? That's
Yeah.
integrity. I
That's
like that.
great.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Noted. Anything else?
Um,
Go ahead.
I guess just for like prayer and direction with, because I still struggle with like the social media stuff on posting more consistently, because I know it's one of those things that it's a visibility factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a part of me is like, oh, I don't want to sound generic, but then also people, like you hit on something earlier, that people need to hear the same thing over and over again for it to kind of start to stick. So just for me to get over that mental hurdle,
Yeah. Okay.
because clients tell me all the time when we're having interactions, like, oh, you should post that, or you should, and I'm like, oh, I got to, and then, but I never do it, so.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Definitely. We can definitely pray about that. Both of these things that you've asked for so far ties into what I want to pray over you guys today. So that's perfect. And then in terms of the social media and posting, we can talk more about that, because I'm sure Mark knows a lot about stuff in that area too that he can share. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, just for me to figure out like the next step, taking that personality test is stuff probably help me figure out like how to narrow down a
that's so
job
awesome, man.
to get income until I can get the insurance thing working, or if I want to take
Okay.
another direction. But
Okay.
I think I want to stick out with the insurance for a while, because I'm starting to feel some breakthroughs, and even if I don't do much with it, it's still causing me to grow because of the things
Right.
that
That's a
helps
good
me to
attitude.
do.
I like that attitude.
Yeah,
Yes. So we win either way, no matter what, we're winning, right? Like we're learning from the experience. Like I've done a lot of stuff. Like that's kind of how I started. You can believe it or not, like selling like a hair care actually is where it started for me. And that forced me to get on social media. Like before that, I didn't. And it was very, very uncomfortable to share everything. But I was passionate about it because it changed my life. And I was sharing it with other people. And from there, it got very comfortable to share everything and just to talk to people. You just have to start somewhere, right? So I like that you're recognizing that they're stepping stools. And everybody has them, like no matter at what stage they're at. Every time we're scaling our business, every time we're starting a new initiative, every time we bring in a new product, every time we switch from one industry to another, it's new, right? Like there's always going to be like some new things. So know that it's very normal and don't overcomplicate it in your head as you move forward. Okay. How did everybody do with their vision sheets? So is there any place that we got stuck on the overall planning? Do you guys need me to put a sheet up?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
That would be helpful, because I was like,
Not sure how to use it?
yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, give me a second.
Because I still have to do my obituary and my 14-year-old self too.
Okay, I'm
still
glad
haven't
you're
think- I
holding
actually
yourself
think
about them.
accountable.
Dude,
Like I think about, I mean, Mark hit me up and I was like, ooh, I haven't done it either. I was like,
Good.
yeah,
But,
I'm
sure,
glad.
man.
And do you
but
see?
there's that I definitely do want to get that done over this next week, because it goes along with that whole restructuring and stuff that I'm trying to get my household in order type situation.
That's
So
right. That's right. And it'll make things clearer for you, because then you'll know where to actually spend your time and where not to, right? So
right.
Especially if you look back. And I think that this exercise that we're doing today might actually help you with your obituary too. Because
Yeah, I need to do both of those also.
okay, very good. So you're all holding each other accountable now, and we need to
Sorry,
see.
Donna. Is that the one we did called Future Self? What was my homework for 2.0?
this is not 2.0 work. This is
No, I understand. But when you talk about the vision casting,
Mhm.
wasn't that the same thing?
Yes, it kind of like it intersects.
Okay.
It kind of intersects, but we talked about it from a perspective of if I was to leave this earth tomorrow, for example, right? If I was to end, if this was my last day, for example, right? Or
Hmm.
we're imagining like whatever age we think we'll like live to a
I think
ripe
it was
old age, like
19-year-old
already.
self or something.
Yeah. So first we started off with what would you tell your 19-year-old self, and we went into our past. So like
Yeah.
from where I am now, what would I tell the 19-year-old me? Because of all the life experience I've had, like that 19-year-old was obsessing about different things that I know actually worked out differently. Right? Like for me, one of the things I was like really always worried about at 19 was like, oh my goodness, like, am I even gonna, what if I do the wrong thing? You know, am I hearing God's voice even clearly? What if it's the wrong voice? There's many voices. How do I know which voice is the right voice? Like that was something that I would think of as a 19-year-old, for example, right? And now I know so much. So if I said something to the 19-year-old me, and like maybe that was the key pieces, I would say like, you know, really don't worry about it. Like God's very capable of letting you know what you need to know. Like you don't need to stress about it. Just, you know, and that might be something, and I actually shared an example from my Facebook post, and I put it in the group as well. Okay.
I
Of
recall that.
what I would say to myself.
Mhm.
I wasn't very confident. My goodness, if you guys knew me back then, I used to like hide behind my hair. And I was such a different person. Like people will still come up to me from like my childhood, and they can't imagine like the shift that has happened. Okay. So one was past, like from current self to past self. And then the second part of the exercise was, now let's fast forward that, and what would the future me say to me now? So that and I kind of said it could be the future you, what you're saying, or it could be like an obituary where what would people say? How would you want people to experience you and remember you? What mark would you want to leave on the earth when that day comes? Right? And I gave an example that for me, as I really thought about it, it really came down to just one sentence. I wanted people to say that when I was around, when they experienced me, they couldn't help but feel like this power, or this kind of like propulsion to like just move upwards. So like they were just moved upwards, elevated, right? No,
Yeah.
when they came in my presence, they just felt like they were elevated. And so that's mine. And I talked to actually Brian, and he was actually really modeling an actual obituary. Like he went and he looked up one, and he looked up like all of the details, you know, and used that model. So you can do it however you like. It could be also the one line that might go on your tombstone that really is like governed your life, that everybody knew that this is how they experienced you. Okay. So you want to think about those kind of things, because when you look at those things, then you can do your dream planning, you can do your impact dreams, your identity dreams, and they need to line up. If you're sitting around wasting time doing things that don't even line up with what your core values are and how you want to like end this time, then you're really off track, and it's time to declutter and kind of like align a little bit better.
Yep.
Okay. But if you discover what it is, it becomes even more powerful what you're doing right now, because you become more intentional and grateful even for the direction that you're going in.
Can I
Makes
make a comment?
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you said something at the beginning of this, of when Christ is on the cross, and he said, you know, Father, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
That was the secret that I don't think a lot of us understand what was being given. And that secret is how I view Christ, as him being able to look at every narrative of every human being that they did for survival to get to that point, from the Roman soldier to the slave to the Pharisee.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is I've said it before, we are these backpacks.
Mhm.
and they're being filled. We're souls in a backpack, and what rocks or what flowers are being filled into them is given by the world.
Mhm.
And if you can recognize that,
Mhm.
then you know that when somebody gives you heavy rocks, that it was given to them,
Mhm.
and it was given to that person who gave it to them.
Right.
And this is to where the forgiveness factor comes in.
Right.
If you can look at somebody outside of yourself and say, they're acting out this way because they're hurting, or they've been fed with narratives that are just, it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
That is the trick to it. If you can bring yourself to really
That's
grasp
right.
onto that and realize it.
That's
And
right.
that's been the whole issue with my documentary, is getting to
Yeah.
that point.
That's amazing. And that's essentially, I think I wrote a post exactly about that yesterday or today on wisdom and understanding, that
Yeah.
essentially it is the knowledge and like to understand where someone is coming from. And then, of course, you're letting them be. You're not trying to change what they're doing, but you try to like leave something that's helpful. And a lot of times you recognize they're just not in the position where they're able to even do anything about it. And
Yep.
until they reach that place in the journey, their journey, where they're able to do something about it, there's really nothing that you can do. You can love them. And this is why many situations, even when you think about in like, you know, in society, like they'll say, you can take someone out of the projects, but you can't take the projects out of them. Right? So there's many
Right.
good intentions, many great intentions. Like, I'm just going to take you and put you here, but you can't remove what's in here. They have to choose that. They have to want that. And it's only a matter of time. Like, I've heard of stories where people get adopted or get help, get removed from trafficking situations, and then they just go right back. Right? And it's heartbreaking if you're in the middle of that. So you kind of have to just learn to leave people to do their own journey, but also hold your, like, make sure that you're holding your responsibility in the midst of it, because that's what you're responsible for, right? Okay, so coming back to impact dreams here, right? So this what we've done here is we're doing goal planning in a very different way. We're kind of divide, instead of what most people do, they'll start off with like, okay, I want to 10x my business by the end of the year, for example, right? And then they'll be like, okay, we're going to 10x the business by doing 10 times the amount of calls, 10 times the amount of social media, 10 times. I know, I can see you guys are exhausted already, Rudy. Okay, like it's a lot, right? So some people think very linear. And so it's very easy for them to for them to go, okay, well, I'm gonna 10x this, that means 30 calls a month, that or a week, or that means, you know, one project. And that those are good. Okay. I'm not saying that those are bad in any way. But what I find is that, like New Year's resolutions, we kind of forget them after a little while. And normally people make New Year's resolutions in January. By March, it's long gone. Like they don't even,
Mhm.
it's an afterthought. I'll tell you guys personally, I did this year, and I am like tracking real strong on my goals. Like the strongest I've ever been in precision. That's happening for me right now. Okay. And what it also does is that it aligns you with your vision and your mission. And so now you're subconsciously making decisions that align with it, with who you want to be as a person, with the impact that you want to make as a person. And what it also does is it eliminates anything that doesn't fit that. Okay. So we do get to the granular details in terms of like, what do those practical goals actually look like, but we do it from a space of more fluidity and creativity, so that we don't get bogged down by, oh man, I meant to like sign 10 clients this week and that was my goal, but I didn't hit it and now I failed. Right? If the goal is just, I want to sign up 10 clients this week, instead of, I want to empower people around me. My life mission is to empower people around me. So every day I am winning. Every day I'm winning when I do that, if my business is aligned with my mission and the identity that I have. And then it's just a matter of, I can break myself free of I can detach from the money and from the sales. Not to say that we don't care about those things, because obviously we need to live and we want to make impact, so we need that, but we're not so fixated on it, and we can remain in a state of flow, and from that state of flow the money just comes. Okay, if you move into a state of I need sales and money, you move into desperation. People can feel that and they will not sign anything. So like literally like you're repelling it. Okay, so you want to keep yourself healthy and in this place of flow. So this is what helps you with that. Now we're dividing the vision planning into 2 sections. So the first part over here is impact dreams, and the second part is identity dreams. So I love to start with identity personally, because I feel like that's a little bit more aligned, right? So your identity is, who do I want to be by the end of the year? Or who am I becoming? So when, when I said to you guys, what would you write in your obituary? How would you want to be remembered? Or, what would your future self look like? This is what we're talking about. Okay, so I would write here a goal or a dream, and it doesn't need to be so specific. Like one of mine was I'm going to be very generous. I just used qualities and traits. All right, and then the evidence of that, well, how will we know that you're generous, Donna? Right, how are we going to measure that? Because we need a measure for that construct. Well, I will have invited families to my home, or opened up my home, or like shared what I have with a few people. And my husband and I, we do missions, so we would have done 1 or 2 mission trips. Or maybe we, like, every Christmas we send we like to send funds to the orphanage in Haiti, and India too. So like maybe that's on the list, for example. Okay, so that's evidence of it. What is the meter stick, like how are we measuring it, the plumb line, so to speak, or manifestation, like what does it look like? What does it tangibly look like for me to be the generous person? Okay, so then the next steps would be, okay, well, now how do I do that? Well, I'm going to have to maybe pray about who it is that I'm supposed to be helping, and see where I'm supposed to. Now remember, we're coming back to, you can't help everybody, so you want to be very clear, like just like Jesus walked around and healed everybody that came to him, but he didn't just like, I'm sure he walked around and saw certain people at times that were like blind, or that were having, but unless they came to him, unless the father told him to go somewhere, he didn't actually get involved and start like trying to like mess with everybody's stuff, right? So we have to sort of like really recognize that we're called to specific people, we're called to specific assignment. And so what does that next step for me would be, pray about which initiatives I'm supposed to fund, for example, right? And decide on them. So I'm going to decide on them. And now the next step would be, I'm going to start an account, or I'm going to start putting away 10% of my income towards it. Right? So now we're getting very granular, right? Like it's getting really very tangible. So most people who are doing New Year resolutions are like starting somewhere in the evidence part, or they're starting in the next steps, but they don't have the bigger picture. And because they don't have the bigger picture, they don't have purpose. And the purpose is what drives us. That's what lasts. Okay? Not the little tiny goals. Okay? Everyone tracking? We're good. We understand what we're doing. Yeah, it's making it clearer now so that you can fill out the form for yourself.
No,
No, not clearer for you?
I
So,
know, because
Jackie,
you
let
know
me
where
do
I'm in
yours.
that transition, right?
Let me do yours real quick.
Can you
let
say
me-
that part about the bigger picture again?
Yeah. So when you are focused on the bigger picture, when there is purpose, so you know why you're doing what you're doing, you try that with your
Yeah.
clients too. You're in insurance, Rudy, you're in, you're in fitness. Your clients will want to, in one case, they want to like drop certain goal. They have a goal weight. Okay. Or they have a goal strength, or they have like, they want insurance, they're looking to get insurance. That's just the next step and the investment, the time investment, the money investment. Okay, like going to the gym, getting a gym membership if I want to hit that weight. That's my evidence, for example. I'm going to be 100 pounds lighter, so I'm going to get a gym membership and I'm going to sign up with Rudy. Okay, like for example. But if they are missing purpose, if they're missing the bigger picture, when it gets tough, they're not going to remember why the heck they're doing it in the first place. Like just losing 100 pounds is not really that exciting, but losing 100 pounds because I could die, the doctor said so, all right, because I'm overweight, or losing 100 pounds because I want to be able to look amazing when I do my wedding or renewal, vow renewal next July. Now we have purpose. I want to feel free in my body and I want to be able to run with my kids. Now we have purpose. Make sense? Bigger picture? So that will drive us. That will drive us on the days where it sucks to do leg days. You know what I mean? Or and guys, this is something that applies to your marketing as well. All right. So when you're talking to people, you're not marketing lose 100 pounds or, you know, get a gym sign up. You're marketing like, do you want to feel free in your body? Do you want to like, do you want to know that when your time comes, you won't have to leave the burdens to your loved ones? That's why you want life insurance. You want to know that you can go in peace and they can actually celebrate your life instead of feeling like, man, they just like dumped this load on me. That's what sells, right? It's the purpose. It's how they end up feeling. Okay, makes sense? Now we're tracking better?
Yeah.
Better? Okay. Okay, so Jackie, for you, I want you to take, because you're not clear on the granular yet and what your vehicle might look like to get you where you need to be, but you are clearer on what the personality type is or what the character traits would be. So it might be, I want to be an exceptional speaker. I want to be a
Yeah, like
master.
the one we did for Future Self, for example, like
Yeah,
I have mastered emotional intelligence and know how to communicate at a high level
yeah,
of
yeah.
excellence.
Perfect, right? So
I'm
I'm
a
a
leader.
master communicator, which means now that the evidence of it will be, people will understand me. I might, maybe the evidence of the manifestation is people are moved by what I say and there's gravity, like there's actually action that follows. I inspire them. Maybe it is I practice self-control, so I only speak when I'm supposed to, and when I do, it's profound, right? So that would be here, and then the next steps, now I have to, like, what would those next steps be? I need to, get back into my 2.0 and keep going over. I need to practice it in conversations with people. When I show up in my group, for example, in my squad, I practice those skills. I'm constantly being intentional. I'm making the tiny decisions daily that feed into the big picture. Okay, that's how I've gotten to where I am. Like literally, I look at my 6 months and I'm just like, mine were, I had something about, like, I think this is more impact, but I wanted to learn about investments and I wanted to learn about communication and I wanted to learn about just like with trauma, more about trauma and stuff like that. And I'm tracking in all the 3 areas just by simple decisions I'm making every day that are aligned. Okay, so impact dreams are actual things you want to do, right? So the identity dreams are the roots, the roots of the tree. No one necessarily sees that. It's the inner work that's happening inside of you for the most part. Okay, like if I want to, like, if I'm trying to be generous, like I'll just follow that train of thought. Like I can't be struggling with money. I have to really understand the concept of money. Speaking of money, you guys are gonna get like downloads on like all money stuff soon, because as God gives it to me, I'm gonna be releasing it on you guys. It's really profound. It's very, very amazing. Some of the things that he's saying to me, so it's really cool. Okay, so Impact dreams might be more of like my personality, like what I want to actually do, right? Maybe I didn't use the greatest example for the generosity down there. I think I had kindness as one of my identity ones too. And that was largely related to as I get busier, as my calendar gets fuller, as I make more investments, as I do more collaborations, I'm going to have less time and I'm going to have less ability to spend it that time. So I want to be kind still to people, despite the fact that I'm not able to give everything the way I was before. Like that was just something that was a grounder for me. Like I'm doing the best that I can to be, careful with my communication. So that was something that I had over there. So impact dreams might be the actual, like I want to actually adopt a kid. I want to make a difference. Like the documentary Mark would go here, right? That it's an
Yeah.
impact dream. It's a tangible, right? So finish the documentary would be, or get this far in the documentary by the end of the year, half the documentary, or finish
It needs to be done.
yeah. Okay, so it needs to be done. So the documentary needs to be done by the end of the year, right? So we put it down there. So evidence of it being done, well, what's left? Like there'll be nothing left to do for it. If there are any pieces that are left, those you circle out those pieces. These things will be completed. Maybe I need investors for it,
Yeah.
or maybe I need connections. I need to make like the evidence of it. It will be done, and we now need to. I need to be making an impact with the documentary. Might even be a great goal. So not just finished, but like the impact. Or you could use one for done and the next one for the impact of it. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can do it any way you want. So, but now it's like, okay, well, the next steps would be start reaching out to organizations who deal with autism, right? Start making connections with people.
Yeah.
Start looking in my circles for who, like maybe I start making social media posts about it, because you never know how many people are out there that actually resonate with it, that will want to partner with it. Right?
Many people, many people, this is what we find, is that there's many people that speak out against some of the larger organizations that deal with people with autism. I think that there's a space for people that are extreme on the DMS-5, but for those that are social functioning, there is unfortunately, there has been built a space of victimhood.
Yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah.
and because of that,
I ha-
it's accommodation for this, accommodation for that, and
Right,
so they
right,
walk into the workforce
absolutely
saying, you
right.
have to accommodate me.
Right.
I
Right.
have two autistic friends, and they're both in victimhood
Yes.
mentality. And
Yes.
some of them, I'm like, they have certain characteristic traits. I'm like, dude, if you get rid of that mindset, you could do so much more in your life and
Yes.
impact
Yes.
and get away from a few certain people.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I was just talking to my husband about this last night in the kitchen. Like this is one of the main reasons why I stepped out of the psychological world, because I just felt like there's just so much, there's good stuff. Like there's a lot of good stuff, right? Like the understanding how your brain works, understanding how trauma impacts you. Like this is good stuff. But then it's like, but if you went through it, hold tight and don't let anybody say that, tell you not to talk about it. I'm like, oh my God, like you're going to just remain with this identity your whole life. And you'll never
Exactly.
be able to move
Mhm.
past this, because you can't see beyond this, and if you say
Exactly.
anything about it, they're like, well, you're the bigot, or you're, I got called an ableist or something.
Yeah.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you can call me whatever you want, but you're gonna be stuck. Right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, but the same argument that, well, having the diagnosis actually helped me, because now I can have a private office in the in the building and this and that. And I'm like, exactly. All I said was, you don't actually need a full diagnosis if you suspect it. You just need to understand how it works and figure out the hacks. Once you figure out the
Yeah.
hacks, that's all you need. So just how do I work with my body? How do I work with my brain the way that I am, so that I thrive? And everyone
Exactly.
here you have your own stuff. Some of you like admin stuff. Actually, I don't think any of you like admin stuff, but right. But some of you are more active, and some of you are not. Some of you like computer stuff, some of you are not. Don't try to excel at areas where you're not good. We're told to do this. Like if you're awful at it, then just get better. No,
That's
find the
great.
area where you're really good and get excellent.
Yeah.
Right? Don't waste your time because you'll be there for a long time. And I'm not saying don't push when things are challenging. I'm just saying we all have a God-given toolkit and a set, and you will thrive in your field of favor. So you need to know what your field of favor is. If I everywhere I went, people always just randomly told me stuff. That was me. Adults, dogs and things come up to me, kids will just come and go, blah, 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 blah. And like my husband will look like, you don't even know this child, and he's just telling you everything. And it's just, that's who I am. That's how I'm wired. They can sense it. So why would I try to go and do something different from like what I'm wired for? So I'm just saying for you guys to sort of tailor your marketing, tailor your branding, tailor everything to match that, so that your life is easier and you can be more authentic also as a result. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, everybody's tracking. Do we have any questions? Do we understand how to do the sheet now?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Everyone's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Yeah.
would like for everybody here to let me know that you take the weekend to work on your sheet and chime in over the weekend when you're done.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm holding you accountable. I don't usually like to do that, but I recognize that sometimes it's
I think it's
important.
important too on this.
Yeah. So let's make sure that over the weekend we get this done. And again, it does not need to be perfect. It does not need to be like, oh, I don't really know, like, what if it changes? If it changes, it changes. You just get a new sheet. It's not a big deal. Okay, so we're not getting trapped in that I need to pick the best thing and the right thing to work towards, and we spend all our time on figuring out the goal that like 6 months go by and we're like, what was I doing again? Like none of that is happening. Okay, perfect. All right, let me close up in prayer, guys, and release what I wanted to release over you today. I've been feeling that what I've been receiving is about governance, and it's about dominion, and it's about understanding the assignments and the territory, the kingdom that God has given each and every one of us, that each and every one of you have that. And I've been asking for the specific patterns and the structure for these new thoughts that are coming into my head to sort of land, so that there is a system, that there's new language that I can actually communicate it, because some of it is like so foreign and floating around, and it cannot land until we receive understanding. Okay, so I'm going to just activate I just want to pray over you right now for you to grow in your imagination and your creativity, for you to not be stifled by everybody does it like this, and they've always done it like this, and this is what everybody's telling me to do. And I want you to receive from the Lord fresh ways of doing things for yourself, for his glory, because he's glorified when you do well. Okay, shall we pray? All right. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this space. I thank you for the beautiful souls in this space, and for every one of them that you have put a crown on, that you have lifted up when others might not have. You know every one of their weaknesses, you know every one of their strengths, and more than that, you know the assignment that you brought them here with. And Father, at this time, we surrender all of our senses to you, and we pray that you sanctify them, so that you can lead us with precision and we can hear you clearly. We can see things in the spirit clearly. We can hear your voice We can sense when we're supposed to be near somebody and when we're supposed to not be. We can recognize which business deals we're supposed to do, which ones align and which not. I pray for clarity. I pray for clarity as the assignments are being completed at this time. And I release favor upon their lives. I release favor and financial blessing, even starting from today. There will no longer be any holdups. There will no longer be no's, but they will be yeses as they surrender to you and they surrender to the dream that you have put inside of them. I activate dreams. I activate creativity. I activate parts of their brain that has never been used before, but the capacity is there. And we pray for that and we receive that. We transcend all earthly distractions and we receive the divine. We receive from you in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 All right. Amen,
you.
everybody. You are
Amen.
very, very welcome. Looking forward to hearing what's happening for you. Please, as usual, share, and I will see you in the group.
Great to
Bye.
see everybody again.
Great to see you
Take care,
guys.
guys.
Bye, everybody.
Good to see you all, and be careful. All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, sorry, Mark and Travis, stay for a second. Donna,
Sure.
can you just stay for a second?
I actually have to run to another meeting, so I have
Okay.
to end the recording,
We'll
but you
talk
guys
in the
can
group.
connect with each other.
Okay,
Sounds good.
bye.
Bye.
Right.